let's get this out of the way. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. This helps me out a ton. So, today, meet the monster. We're moving on to Monster Rancher 2, and I want to explain both species and the name choices for this episode, because otherwise I will likely be accused of impropriety. First off, the very first Centaur I ever encountered in any Monster Rancher game was Farius, who shows up as the second boss encounter of Monster Rancher Explorer. This laughably easy boss encounter was the first time I met a Centaur, as it was my first Monster Rancher title, fun fact. Now, the name. Hilanome is the name of a female centaur from Myth, who is mentioned briefly in the story of the Centauromachy. To prevent this episode from being 5 hours long, the short version is, in ancient Greek myths, centaurs were usually not very good people. They were the embodiment of the id, the violent and impulsive instincts of the animal within the hearts of men. So, when Perithous and Hippodamia, I think I'm saying that right, were wed, they decided to try to bury the hatchet with the centaurs by inviting them to the wedding. Well, let's just say that no one was particularly surprised when the guests couldn't hold their liquor and started brawling and kidnapping women. One particular centaur who got in on the fighting was Silurus, who ultimately was killed when the humans took up weapons to put him to the sword for his bad behavior. His wife, Hilanome, was so loyal and so ride or die for her husbando, she chose to... wait, how do I put this while still being YouTube safe? She opted to fall on her husband's spear instead of living life without her beloved, in Minecraft. That's how devoted and deeply caring female centaurs, sometimes called Centauridae, are. Her name also means woodland pasture, which is fitting for the state of our ranch. Now, with that lengthy preamble out of the way, let's talk about Hilanome the monster. Looking at her fresh off the disc stats, I immediately notice her core 3 stats are skill, intelligence, and speed, in that order. Which works, since even though I've never raised a centaur before, I do know their primary stat is always skill, and I'm willing to bet speed is their defensive trait of choice, as every enemy centaur fought in the main game always has those 2 stats if nothing else. This is fortunate, as it means I could focus on a squishy wizard build, and Hilanome's training regimen began. I use the modified Never Tired method, and I have a healthy collection of Gemini pots, because you never don't want Gemini pots. Monster Fenric in the Monster Rancher Discord confirmed for me that Gemini pots actually got buffed between the PS1 and DX bundle releases, so now they raise fear and mitigate stress, and the effects stack. Also, she likes tablets, which is just bonus points, frankly. Unfortunately, her starting moves, Smash and Rear Leg Kick, are power techs, so this is going to be an uphill battle. Also, the Never Tired methods of Monster Rancher 2 are a little bit more demanding, and I am, how do I put this, out of practice. I made a lot of care mistakes, and that does come back to bite me before this is all over, but I'll get on to that later. I decided to break Hilanome onto the scene at the Monster Pups E-Cup. Stat-wise, I felt we would be roughly comparable, or maybe even a little over-prepared. But, thus goes the old adage, there's more to a battle than the numbers. Hilanome's starter techs were very accurate. She hit her mark more often than not. Problem being, her power stat is abysmal, and the attacks didn't have huge hitting power behind them either, meaning that she was nickel and diming her opponents, which simply does not work, due to her not dodging all that well at this leg of the game. We completely washed out of this tournament, not landing a singular win. But hey, no saves coming. So, back to training I go. After a quick rest, she goes to Pare Pare, or Pear, I don't care, or Kare. Anyway, her intelligence errantry goes well, and she nets a new attack, but I need to say this. The Centaur's animations on these look super goofy. These were not made with quadrupedal monsters in mind, and it shows, especially the third step of it. Anyway, for her effort, she returns with Energy Shot. I wasn't thrilled to see that it's an E-damaged attack, nor the fact that it's in the third distance range band, but it is an intelligence moves, and she needs that more than anything at this point. Not too long after, I notice her speed is wanting. And given that's what sunk us in the last tournament, I decided to approach this aggressively by sending her to Pappas Alps. The speed gains are decent, but she gets the power move Javelin for her efforts. This is not the best start I could imagine. But I am getting to the point where I feel her stats are more than compensation for the difference, so we enter the Blizzard Cup to see how far she's come. And the answer is, good enough for government work. Energy Shot, as I feared, is not a move that will be knocking out enemies left and right, but due to her very high intelligence stat at 300 on the E rank, does enough to defeat the notorious Oakley Man. You might be guffawing at the struggle now, but remember, This is the first Centaur I've ever raised. Give me a little something here. Nats the Hare had less HP than Hilanome, so knocking him out was a big milestone for us. So, emboldened, we swept to the tournament. It's time for the next step, the official E. If you're thinking, gosh, this sure sounds like you're putting all your eggs in one basket, yes, you would be absolutely correct. But also, it's the E rank, we'll be fine. I hope. Honestly, I didn't go in with my strategy in mind. I basically just banked on the odds that I wouldn't be hit and used Energy Shot when it was advantageous for us. And here's the thing. It did. We just didn't get hit often enough to be threatened, and Energy Shot, while not particularly strong, was strong enough to net us a straight win record. Hilanome was now D rank despite the rough start. Now it's time to shore up our weak points, namely the want for strong moves. Back to Intelligence Errantry. While out, she got a new tech and beat a wild monster, this time the pure plant Fly Trapper, recovering half the money I put down on her training. So go team. This gets her the attack Mind Flare, which not only covers the distance that previously held no techs, but it's a D-Force intelligence-based attack, which is marked improvement. This finally gives me some options to play with, thank goodness. Having got this, I decided it's time to stop into the Gemini Cup. It's a D-rank tournament that you want to grind, as the reward is one of the aforementioned Gemini pots. And while I already had 4 on hand, a 5th makes for a nice round number. Our first enemy was the pure pixie, Millium, which made me realize that this was a battle of 1-horn versus 2-horn pixie models. This also ends up being my chance to try Mind Flare, which works precisely the way I hoped it would. This is especially true, as Millium is one of the few monsters around with lower life than Hilanome herself, resulting in a one-hit KO. Fighting against Capella, I accidentally swatted him with Smash. I am in fast-forward mode after all, but I quickly course-correct and blast him as well, netting a second win. Haramoa, the Hopper, is hardly any different, and he gets blown away, netting us our 5th pot to add to the stash. And I'll take sentences that just put me on some kind of list for 300, Alex. Around this point, Hilanome came to trust me enough to not just list me as her favorite thing, but to begin randomly bringing me shiny stones, which sell for 750 gold a pop, which is nice. I'd never seen these items in the game before, so I am curious what other little gifts I'll get to discover as I play through each various monster breed. Anyway, that being said, it's time for the official D-rank tournament. At this point, my over-preparation in the E-rank rears its head, as we easily eclipse the stats of all challengers at this point. Hailfall the Arrowhead falls at just 2 Mind Flares. Heck, most enemies do. The only one that posed a significant challenge at all was Sleep Bomb the Baku, who puts Hilanome into critical. She ultimately KOs him just in time, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me a little nervous to watch her health get that low. Everyone else was swept below Hilanome's hooves, and we reached C rank with minimal resistance. Next up, we head to the beach for the skill errantry. I don't know which ones will be best for getting intelligence moves. Remember, I have to do this without guides, and decide getting more skill for a centaur can't be a bad thing. This, unfortunately, landed me a power-based attack, Turn Stab. It was around here that the terrifying notion began to settle in on me. Guys, I think centaurs are power-based monsters. But I'm kind of far into this by now. To divert stats now at all would be a waste of time, and it's altogether likely that Hilanome just didn't have that available. I decided to stay the course. I will make this work even if it's not an optimal build. And then, something well and truly strange happened. I watched Hilanome cheat at the jump training. I'm just gonna let this play in full. I know this is fast forward mode, which helps a lot with getting through these in reasonable time, but it looks so strange. She probably put more effort into cheating than she would have just by jumping normally. Yeah, I had to share that. All that said, after a little more training time and relatively uneventful passing of months, we enter the Sea Official, and yeah, I just really don't have anything to say. Very few enemies even managed to hit Hilanome, and while sometimes a timeout was more viable than knocking out our enemies, there was just not much happening regardless. Every fight more or less resolved in like fashion. The only one who I thought would be a problem was Offrey the Ghost, but I destroyed him in 2 hits. Not bad at all. Afterwards, I send Hilanome to the Alps again for speed gains. There, she's attacked by the very powerful Kamui, the rare tiger, so I basically just straight up gave up and ran. That would have gone very poorly had I allowed it to play out, and for our trouble we get Smash Combo, a power move. Yeah, definitely made a mistake in my strategy. But I'm an hour into this mistake, gameplay-wise, so by Galley's Mask I will see this through to its end. We move to the B-rank official because I know I've already made too many mistakes, but I want to get as far as I can. Thus, when I lose the very first match of the tournament against Ghoulshine, I realize that this is real, and it's actually happening to me. The days of Hilanome sliding below radar due to her early game prep time would just not fly anymore. It's do or die. It was close, as we only lost by about 5% difference HP-wise. But a loss is still a loss, and I have to accept that. Pirato and Aspen are both knocked out, so our next enemy, Liquel the Hare, just knocks Hilanome clean out. Oh, good lord, why? Luckily, unlike Med, this was not multiplicative amounts of HP, and doesn't even injure her. But it does wound my pride, and regrettably, Hilanome's max lifespan. We sweep the rest of the tournament, but it's all for naught. We net third place and a whole lot of nothing else apart from regret, of which there are many at this point. Back to the jungle! Stat gains are good and we get a new tech, but we are confronted by Wild Saurian, who immediately attacks us the instant the battle starts and just one-hit KOs us. This is such absolute utter garbage. Fast forward or no, it basically just ignores all inputs and forced a loss before I had any input on the battle. This is why players don't like having our monster AI taken away from our control. I might have said some things that would definitely have gotten me demonetized, so let's move on. The good news is we finally got another intelligence move. Energy shots. There's more than one, so now it's plural, like the Alien movies. D4 C hit are not terrible, but to be honest, I don't love that it costs 25 guts. But it does fill in our attack roster by plunking into the far range band. So yeah, devastating 3 attacks to pick from, which more or less all kind of share the same problems. Great. I attempt to rectify this by immediately going to Torble, but oops, power tech, triple stabs. I give up. It's time to just train normally until the next official rotation, wait for my revenge. 600 intelligence and 400 in skill and speed later, the battle with Ghoulshine, while very, very uncomfortably close with some missed shots, ends with a KO in our favor this time. Then, Liquel ends up being the second battle, and after I hit him once with Mind Flare, he gets the power battle condition. So I tried to defeat him, and are you kidding me, he has grit too? So I give it the old poke a god and smash him back down to the dirt. I then get knocked out by Robanil the Worm. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm sorry, Hilanome. You really deserve to be raised by a breeder who's far less incompetent than me. Despite this heartbreaking setback, we still win, as we still maintain the best win-loss ratio nonetheless. So, A rank. Yay, I wish I could be happier about this, but the situation is just getting frickin' dire. Anyway, many months of training later, the A elimination for the Amity Cup comes up again. Citing a lack of anything better to do, I decided to just go for it. Lucky for us, Gotrek the Zilla could not hit Hilanome, and thus she won easily with a KO. Catalina the Suezo just knocks my monster out in one go, because of course she did. Start a battle, sub 40% chance to hit, knockout. Great. Kaplan the Duckin easily falls to us, which results in a numeric tie, putting us in a repeat of the first battle. While we don't get revenge on Catalina, we do win the tournament, and there's that, and because I can, and it happened to work out that way, we enter Hilanome into the Ima-Fimba meet. Fimba claims victory in the D rank, but Ima takes the wins in C and B, which puts quite a bit of pressure on us for the win for the home team. We're up against Terrace, the plant. Honestly, this guy has HP for days and very high skill, so I was expecting one heck of a battle. What ensued was less a kinetic fight and more him missing a lot and us taking pot shots to whittle his health down till the timer reached its verdict. But hey, we won! Which gave our committee its third win. Which is good because our S-rank contender also lost to Fimba, putting the score at a narrow 3-2. Hilanome gets to do a quick jog around the arena as we show off the monster cards of our team. Feels good to have a celebration of the last couple of rough tourneys we've had. A few months pass in relative quiet, and we arrive at the A official. Our first enemy is a near mirror match, Kitty the Pixie, who gets a few good shots off on us before we knock her out. Sharkin the Naga kindly wastes all of his guts out of the gate, allowing us to easily mop the floor with him. Catalina returns for another go, and while she does put Hilanome in critical, we ultimately knock her out, claiming a moral victory in the process. Siva the Dragon is a dangerous contender, but we defeat it handily. Lambsweet and Kaplan are easily KO'd, and the final boss against Arculon the Arrowhead, we lose. Yeah, legit. It's thankfully by timeout, which isn't as bad, but yeah, we actually lost this one. Now, if you're wondering why I don't sound mad about this, it's because numerically, that's completely irrelevant. I could have actually just forfeited in this match in the first place, and the result would have ended up precisely the same. We won! So, Hilanome is now S rank. And this isn't Monster Rancher 1, so we don't get to skip the S official anymore. Not that it really matters, because not too long after, Hilanome celebrates her 3rd birthday, and we get that dreaded retirement warning. Which means that she has approximately a year left in her lifespan, but honestly, she's been suffering law of diminishing returns for quite a while now as she's gotten older, and it hasn't helped that I haven't been the most mindful of her stress levels, with the repeated knockouts she suffered over the years just being icing on the cake. So rather than try to force the matter, I opt to retire her here at the S rank. So, how was my first Centaur? Well, it was a learning experience in a way that I wasn't honestly expecting. I'll be honest, I'm rusty in playing Monster Rancher 2. It's been a minute since I played for the channel and a lot longer still. I'll be honest, I'm a little rusty at Monster Rancher 2, having been a hot minute since I played it for the channel, and a lot longer still since I played for myself, so my groove was way off this time. Hilanome also got the short end of a lot of very unfortunate sticks, and got knocked out way more than I would ever normally allow. But the rules are plain, so I couldn't undo it. She also unfortunately was given a stat block that's just not good for Centaurs. I looked it up after the fact. Do you know how many intelligence moves a Centaur can actually get? 4. And I had 3. The one I missed is a tech chain that goes off of Mind Flare. But, all that being said, she got to S rank. This is my first Centaur ever, and she was fresh off the disc. I'm genuinely impressed. I did everything I possibly could have completely wrong, but she was great. I learned so much about this monster just by taking the time to make mistakes along the way. Honestly, I left with a much higher opinion of a monster I previously thought was just okay. Much like her namesake, she was ride or die for those who took care of her, and she fought fiercely even with every disadvantage she could have been burdened under. And all that, she still got to S rank. I think that embodies the Centaur extremely well. This might have been my favorite raising experience in this series thus far, and there's many more to go. I did a straw poll on Monster Rancher Discord, and so next up will be the Bajral. Look forward to it. That's it. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.